Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about a very important part of writing. Since you're in the ninth grade, a very important subject coming up is argumentative writing. So today I am specifically going to be covering how to determine the validity and strength of your sources that you use. Because the strength of any argument is determined pretty much by the strength and validity of the supportive evidence you use, it's extremely important to make sure that the evidence you use is valid and accurate. So in this video, I'm going to be covering three main factors that are important to keep in mind when doing your research. Please take notes and jot down any questions or ideas that you have in regards to your future assignment. Number one, the author. It's extremely important to know who's writing your source, where they're getting their information from, what their qualifications are. So whether your source is something digital, like a website, an article, or an image, or if it's something that you found at your library, physical, like a magazine or a painting or a encyclopedia, anything that's printed, you want to look at who wrote it, who the publishing team behind it was, anything like that. You want to know what the qualifications of the publisher are. For example, if you're constructing an argument that's based in science, it's especially important that the author of the evidence that you're including in your essay has a solid education. So when you're doing your initial research for your argument writing, it's important that you're looking at the authors of all the sources that you're using, and you're establishing for yourself that they have a good education, they have experience in their field of study that is especially relevant to the articles that you'll be reading. Double check, make sure that they're not motivated by any specific personal biases that could interfere with the validity of the claims that they're making. For example, if the argument that you're writing is rather controversial, it's important to double check all the authors that you get your sources from and make sure that they're not motivated either politically or just socially, because the most accurate information comes from an author that is neutral and non-biased in their information and in their writing. Number two is the date of the writing. This is especially important when it comes to factual sources or science-based evidence. Because we're discovering more and more accurate information every day, the older your source is, the more likely it is that its information is outdated and therefore isn't very helpful to your argument in general. Depending on what subject your argument's about, usually it's good practice to not use a source that's older than 5 years to your writing. So for the upcoming assignment that you'll be doing, it's important to keep in mind that your sources shouldn't be older than 2014. There can be exceptions to this rule, so it's not a bad idea to do additional research and see how many advancements there have been in regards to the topic that you're writing about. For example, like social issues, say you're talking about climate change or the economy, those are subjects that are very rapidly changing, so it's important that your information is as recent as possible. Or if you're writing an argumentative essay based in history or things that have been written and discovered hundreds of years ago, you're probably safe using an older source, but it wouldn't hurt to make sure that no advancements have been made or no recent discoveries have been made. So use your judgment and try to be responsible. Number three. Now we kind of discussed this with number one when it came to personal biases of authors, but this is especially important when it comes to publishers and especially when it comes to digital sources. When it comes to websites, an easy way to see if a website is potentially influenced by biases is to check what the website itself ends in. So the common endings to web addresses that we encounter are .com, .net, .org, and of those three, .com is the one that's most frequently used, and unfortunately it is also the number one web address that is motivated by profit. .com meaning .commercial, meaning most of the people who publish their information on there are motivated by their own need for attention or money. That's not to say that everything ending in .com is bad. It's just saying that there's a very high chance that that person does not have the most accurate information. That being said, websites that are more safe to use and are more likely to have neutral and accurate information are websites that end in .org or .net. Websites that have a lot of obvious advertisements all over the homepage, or articles that include a heavy amount of author opinion and a lack of rebuttals, can often mean that there are biases present, and it's important to exclude those from your research as they won't be the strongest evidence. So now that I've covered those 3 factors, it should be a little bit easier for you guys to determine which sources are valid and accurate. Those 3 factors being the author, the date of publication, and any other potential biases that are obvious from the source. So I want to end off this video by giving you guys a good place to start when it comes to picking out a topic for your own argumentative writing. So as you're doing research and trying to pick a topic, you might come across some controversial topics that seem really interesting to you, or something that you're really passionate about. And as easy as it might be to write an essay in which you go wild and talk about an argument that you feel really strongly about, it's actually not the best idea to write an argumentative essay that you're really passionate about. It may be easier to write about, but it also makes it really easy to fall victim to your own biases. When it comes to argumentative writing, you want your writing to be as accurate as possible, and you want your writing to be as thorough and as valid as possible as well. So you don't want to choose a topic that you feel too passionately about, because it might result in your writing being too personally and emotionally driven, and you want it to be driven by true neutral evidence and less about emotions. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope that I gave you a good place to start with your argumentative writing. Now you should know what to look for in your sources and what to look for when it comes to compiling your evidence. Make sure that you have a credible author, the date of publication is relevant and appropriate for your subject, and make sure that your sources aren't driven by any other biases, such as money or advertising. Good luck!